So we see in a normal setting, a compass is always pointing to the north and it's getting a reading from this force that's going on in the north.
Yeah, because in its simplest terms, the Earth is pretty much a giant magnet with north and south magnetic poles, a bit like a bar magnet. If the Earth were flat, would we still have magnetic north and south? Probably not. But let's find out why.
Please subscribe.
Now, if you want to get caught up on all of my research on this,
Research? Do you mean you've been watching YouTube videos on it? Because that is not research. Especially if the videos you're watching already confirm any biases you may already have. Why did I say may? That you definitely already have.
I'll leave a link in the comment section and description box because this is a very interesting topic and it fascinates me to think of how a magnetic compass is always pointing to the north, and I believe it's something more going on than what the scientific explanation is.
Well, yeah, you would, wouldn't you? Now, the Earth's magnetic field is generated by the movement of molten iron in its core, and this creates a magnetic field that surrounds the planet. So you need to remember that it isn't what science has told us, it's what science has concluded with the evidence that we currently have. And unlike flat earthers, we don't need to guess or make up our own version of what may or may not be happening.
So I'm thinking the other day, I'm like, I've brought this up before in previous videos, but I never really did a video dedicated to this subject. So what happens when you cross the equator on the south of a globe? Shouldn't the compass point to the south?
No, it shouldn't. If a northern hemisphere compass is used in the southern hemisphere, the south pointing end of its needle would dip a lot more, since that's the weighted end and the field lines dip towards the south. The needle would likely drag on the base of the compass as well. Now, simple compasses for use in the southern hemisphere have the north pointing end of the needle weighted to prevent that. And in fact, manufacturers of compasses customize them for 5 separate geographic zones.
So I looked up the question and I was trying to find some answers to it and saw really vague answers to it. I didn't really have a whole lot of time to dig into this subject.
Wait a minute, so you've been researching the magnetic north and magnetic south, but you also haven't really had time to dig into the topic, so how is that research? I didn't have any problems finding this information. It's very easy to find.
I'm trying to just hang on here with this channel still, so I can't really do the deep dives like I used to do when this channel was, you know, when it provided me the time and resources to do that type of research. So
well, that just sounds like an excuse, because it took me less than 10 seconds to find 3 separate sites that were all talking about the magnetic north and magnetic south. It was very easy to do. So saying you haven't got time is, well, it's no excuse at all. But I do also realize that when you say you weren't able to find any information, what you probably mean is you weren't able to find any information that backs up what you already believe about the shape of the Earth and how it works.
I was vaguely looking into it and, you know, I was looking for some answers, and it sounds like the scientific explanations are just kind of vague answers to this question. They're saying something about a magnetic line or whatever. It's almost as if they're suggesting that we should only get a reading from the north center, and I'm like, I'm definitely dismissing that.
So yes, then, the reason you say you couldn't find any good information is because the information you did find completely disagreed with what you believe.
Because, I mean, if anyone's an expert on magnetics and what should happen on a globe Earth, I'd like to know your explanation, but
you're gonna completely dismiss it, and we know that because you just told us. So what would be the point in anybody from our side of the argument presenting you with any information about the shape of the Earth?
As far as I'm just kind of brainstorming here, I would think that you should get a South Pole reading once you're south of the equator if we are on a globe, right? So
crossing the equator does not flip your compass or cause it to suddenly point south. I thought you said you'd been researching this, so why don't you know that? Your compass always points towards magnetic north regardless of where you are on Earth. So whether you're north of the equator, south of the equator, or even standing right on the equatorial line, your compass will still point towards the same magnetic magnetic North Pole?
I was looking into some more evidence and I found some videos of people in Antarctica. And so I wanted to see what they had to say. The first video I clicked on, this lady was in Antarctica and she turned around and showed the signs that shows that you're around the Mercado station or whatever. You know, you're definitely in Antarctica. So this scientist was going to show us what a compass does when you're in Antarctica. And here she is pulling out a phone with a compass on it.
Awesome, let's have a look at it then. But just before we do that, why is it that most flat earthers, and from memory I think yourself included, says that nobody can go to Antarctica? Antarctica isn't what we think it is. But suddenly when you think there's a video clip that supports your position, which you clearly do, otherwise you wouldn't be playing the video clip we're about to look at, then it's perfectly fine and Antarctica's awesome and whatever. Let's have a look.
I'm like, this isn't a scientific observation. You're pulling out a digital compass on your phone.
Does the person in this video clip make the claim that it is a scientific observation?
And so she was showing us this. I immediately skipped off the video. I said, I need to see what a magnetic compass does in Antarctica. So I found another video.
So you're not even going to show us that video, so why even bring it up then?
And so this guy actually had a magnetic compass in Antarctica, and he's showing us what a compass does when you're in Antarctica. And as he was showing us what a compass does, he's pretty much saying that it's useless and, you know, it's not really giving a reading. He's basically saying how the pointer on the compass was pretty much just pointing anywhere it wants, kind of. It was not really reading properly from what I was gathering from what his observation was.
Well, if you actually stop bumping your gums and show us the video, we'll be able to form our own opinions, won't we?
McMurdo Sound. I'm on Ross Island. That's where McMurdo Science Station is. And I'm going to show you about how compasses work. So here's my compass I brought from home. And there's a difference between magnetic north and geometric north, geographical north. Geographical north is the North Pole, where all the lines of longitude meet. The magnetic South Pole is going to be where the magnetic pole lines up. And it just so happens that the magnetic South Pole right now isn't even on the continent of Antarctica. It's off of Antarctica.
The guy just said himself that he brought the compass from home. And based on his American accent, I'm going to take a wild guess and say that his compass is a Northern Hemisphere compass. So we should expect it to behave strangely in Antarctica.
And there's a thing called declination. That's the difference between the two. Geographic and magnetic.
Now, I don't have a clue why a flat earther would choose to show us this clip, because based on the fact that he just mentioned declination tells me that he actually knows how this stuff works, so he couldn't possibly be on your side. So why are you showing us?
Currently, it's about 140 degrees difference, which means that if your compass did work, it would lead you in almost the complete opposite direction. So I thought I'd show you this though. Here's my compass, and you can see that white needle is pointing down. Look at as I'm rotating around, that compass doesn't even spin. The needle stays the same. That white needle is dragging down on the bottom of the compass.
So it's basically doing exactly what I said a Northern Hemisphere compass would do in the Southern Hemisphere then.
So kind of fun to play with, but not real useful. I mean, you could rotate it around and try to get that off of the bottom of the compass, but for the most part, not real useful.
Because it's a Northern Hemisphere compass? Probably. He didn't actually say, and I don't want to put words in his mouth, but that would cause what we just saw.
And so he was attempting to answer the question what a compass does in Antarctica, and he's just kind of saying, well, it's pretty much not working.
Don't you just love flat earthers and their honesty? How do we know that was the question he was trying to answer? He may have been just showing or demonstrating how a northern hemisphere compass behaves in the southern hemisphere, which is far more likely in my opinion. But flat earthers will flat earth and try and manipulate video clips and things people have said into fitting with their idea about the earth.
From what I was gathering from his observation, he's pretty much saying it's not working and the needle's pretty much doing whatever it wants at this point. And it wasn't really doing anything, it sounded like. He said it just keeps pointing this way on his magnetic compass. That's where I was very interested in the readings of, because I really wanted to see what a magnetic compass would do in Antarctica. So I think it would be best if
you found a clip of somebody demonstrating a compass made for the southern hemisphere in the southern hemisphere, because I think that would be a really good idea.
Well, it sounds like Will Duffy got Jeranism and Witsit Gets It to go along with the whole final experiment thing in Antarctica coming up.
Yeah, well, I don't think Will has got Jeranism and Witsit to go along with the final experiment. I think he invited them and they said yes. The way you just said it implies that there was some coercion involved, which there hasn't been.
Plus, Candace Owens is said to be taking one of her experts down there too. So we're going to have some representation on this final experiment thing, and that's going to be good because I think that everyone should bring a compass.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that somebody involved in the final experiment will remember to take a compass with them, and more specifically a compass that will work in the southern hemisphere.
And see what it does down there, because really, from what I'm seeing, I would have to say that the scientific explanation is not dependable at this point.
Of course you wouldn't, because it disagrees with your position.
I was just brainstorming the other day, like I said, and I was just thinking, like, anything south of the equator, shouldn't a compass point to a south pole if we're on a globe?
Ah, right, so you don't know how compasses work then. Clearly, the Earth has a single unified magnetic field. It's not like there's a separate magnetic field for each hemisphere, but as stated multiple times in this video, a northern hemisphere compass will behave strangely in the southern hemisphere, which is why we have different compasses for different geographical locations, but they all still point north. Compasses have worked for thousands of years, and they've done a perfectly fine job of getting people where they need to be.
Shouldn't there be some type of opposite thing going on from your general area above the equator?
If by a separate thing you mean shouldn't there be separate compasses for the southern and the northern hemisphere, there are! I thought you said you'd been doing your research. It didn't go very well, did it?
So, if anyone can answer that question scientifically or even brainstorm on it, that'd be great to see in the comment section, and maybe we should figure this out.
Seriously, maybe we should figure this out. It's been figured out for thousands of years.
Because this could be actual proof of flat Earth. If the compass doesn't behave as it should once you're south of the equator, if everyone decides that, okay, well, shouldn't the compass point to a south pole if we're on a globe? Well, then that means we're not on a globe, because these people are showing us that magnetic compasses don't work on the south pole. They don't point to a specific place. They don't point to a south pole.
Tell me you're an idiot without saying that you're an idiot. There are so many things wrong with what you just said, it beggars belief. Who's saying that compasses should point south when you're in the southern hemisphere? I'll tell you who. Nobody. Because they don't. Ever. Compasses always point north. The reason the guy in the clip you showed was having problems with his compass is because it was probably a northern hemisphere compass and he's in the South Pole. Now there's about another 4 minutes to this guy's video, but all he does is just demonstrate that he has no clue how compasses are meant to work. And I don't know about you, but I'm fed up of saying the word compass. So instead, I will say thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new, or if you're a Blinder Gang OG, head over to Creaky Extra and hit subscribe there. And I will see you in the next video. Love you. Bye.
I don't think so. No, 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 no. I don't think so. No, no, no. no, no, it's never, ever, ever, ever,